Hey everyone, Tony here, rchelp.com. We went through on this complete CCPM DX6i setup. As you know, I'm walking through every single step to get you guys in the air with the DX6i and a CCPM helicopter. They're mostly the same as far as helicopters go. So I've showed you how to set up the radio, how to go through all the settings and get all them correct. I've showed you how to put all the servos into the helicopter and then wire everything up to the receiver. Now we need to bind the radio to the receivers. You want to put your satellite receiver in because it'll bind to it as well. You don't have to use the satellite receiver if you don't have one, but it's a good idea. What you want to do is put your bind plug into your receiver. It goes into your battery port. Every receiver comes with a bind plug. As you can see, my radio is off. What you want to do, turn it on and verify what model you're on. I'm on the HK450 GT. It's model 10. I know it goes to this helicopter. That's the one I want to bind to. Throttle down, idle up switch away from you, throttle hold away from you. It doesn't matter where your gyro switch is. I left it in the low mode or in number 1 because we're going to be setting up in rate mode. Go ahead and turn your radio off. What I'm going to use is just a real small 1000 milliamp 3S battery. What you want to do, make sure your motor, at least 2 of the 3 wires, if not all 3, are unplugged. Now what you want to do is plug your battery in. Now, as you can see, both of those started flashing. That means that it is in bind mode. Now what you want to do is, you've got your trainer switch back here. What you want to do, hold up on that trainer switch and then turn your radio on. You can see it says bind. If you watch, satellite went solid, receiver went solid. You can let go of the trainer switch and you can hear my servos are kind of working. Well, I've still got my blades in the blade holder. If I take those out, it should shut up. Yep, there you go. Now you're bound. Now you should be able to move your servos and they should work like they're supposed to. So now we need to go in and we need to center all the servos and we need to make sure everything's moving in the right direction. Okay, now that we've got everything bound, go ahead and unplug your battery, turn your radio off, and then pull out your bind plug. This is going to ensure whenever you go back in and plug your helicopter back in, you're not going to go back into bind mode. Be sure to save your bind plugs. I got a crap load of them because I've ordered a crap load of receivers. Every receiver will come with its own bind plug, but they are not receiver specific. So now that we've got everything done, the receiver's bound to the transmitter or vice versa, now what we need to do is we need to see, one, if this swash is moving in the direction that it's supposed to. So what we need to do, turn the radio on. This time you turn that radio on first. Most of the time you're going to turn your radio on, then plug in your helicopter. When you're done, unplug your helicopter and then turn off your radio. Don't ever, ever, ever have power onto this helicopter without this radio being on. So, got the radio on. Now we just need to plug in the battery. You heard the servos kind of initialize. You can see the light come on. As long as they're coming on solid, you're fine. I'm going to have to rebind this, and this is why. You notice how close this antenna is to these receivers. You need to bind at least 3 feet away from these receivers. That'll give you a good bind. Eventually, these lights are going to start flashing, and it's going to say that I don't have such a good bind or whatever. Do it 3 feet away, and you know that you'll be good. Okay, so now what we need to do is don't worry about your servos just yet. You know, you can see this one's not level, it's kind of tilted. Don't worry about that just yet. What you want to do, with the helicopter facing away from you, and I'll bring this over here, you want to watch that swash plate, and if I push forward, well, it's the elevator's going down and this one over here is going down. Now when I go forward, the 2 front ones should go down and the elevator should go up. Pulling back is just the opposite. Now if I go left, you can see both of the fronts are moving up and down. The elevator is not moving because the elevator doesn't have anything to do with the ailerons. Now what about throttle? As you can see, that should just be moving the swash up and down nice and even. Okay, so that tells me this servo over here is backwards. We need to reverse this one because these are going up with the throttle. The elevator is going backwards, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to reverse that one, and we're going to do it by playing with the throttle here. I'll go ahead and put it in idle up so you guys can see this a little bit better. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to go into our radio and go all the way down to setup list. You guys may or may not be able to see this very well. Go down into reverse. Now we need to find out which one is this. We know it's either aileron or it's going to be pitch. Pitch is not going to be all three of them like that. Pitch is one single servo in this reverse list. So we'll go there, go down to pitch, we'll hit reverse. That just happens to be the right one. Now all three of them are going up at the same time. Okay, let's check aileron. Alright, now we got aileron movement correct, but it's backwards. If I go left, it's tilting the swash to the right. It should be tilting it to the left. Okay, what about elevator? The elevator is backwards as well, but the throttle or the pitch is correct. So what we need to do is go out of here, hit list. Now go up here to main. We'll just start from the very beginning, click into there and go down into swash mix. Now you remember all of those were at positive 60. Okay, now pitch on this screen is going to be all three servos controlling the up and down movement of that swash. Okay, we've got up and down with the correct stick input. Okay, pitch is correct. Elevator pulled back, it was tilting forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right there, select it, and then we're going to scroll all the way down to negative 60. Alright, now when I pull back, now the swash plate goes back. It's going in the correct direction. Still backwards on the aileron. So we'll go up here, we'll scroll all the way down to negative 60. Now, alright, we've got right, left, forward, back, up, down. Alright, everything is looking great now. So we know we've got all of our servos moving in the correct direction. But now we need to set up all the servo arms. What you'll do, you'll set your throttle stick right to mid stick. Now we need to check all the servos. Okay, as you can see, I moved my radio out of the way. We don't need to touch that radio because we're going to be making sure these right here, the servo arms, are as close to 90 degrees to this as they can get. Now, some servos are going to set at an angle. It doesn't matter if they're an angle like this, if they're straight up and down, if they're at whatever angle. This servo arm needs to be 90 degrees from this link, not from the servo body, from this link. So this one here, it's pretty close. We're going to be able to get that with subtrim. So we'll turn the helicopter around. You can see that one there, pretty close. We can get that with subtrim. This one in here, it's decently close. We can get that with subtrim as well. What you want to do is get it as close as you can to zero by taking 90 degrees by taking these screws out, popping it off, and trying each individual tooth on that servo. Once we get to this point, now we can bring our radio back. Okay, we've got our radio sitting here. What we need to do is go in to subtrim. Subtrim is going to be number 4 in your adjust list. Go in here. Now, let's go to elevator first because we know elevator is this one right back here. What we're going to do is try to get that just as level as possible. We'll go ahead, click this. You can kind of see it way down here at the bottom of your screen. And as we move it, you can see that servo is going to start to move. So what we want to do is we want to get that just as close to 90 degrees as we can. I had to put in 67 up. You'll have an arrow on it that'll say up, down, left, right, whichever way you happen to be going. I went 67 up. So that looks pretty close. That looks pretty good. Now what we're going to do is go into aileron. I know this other side was pitch just by the reverse we did the other just a little bit ago. This is going to be aileron. So down, not the right way. We want to go up just a hair to about right there. That looks good. Now we need to spin the helicopter around. We need to look at the pitch servo. So we'll back out of that. By the way, I had to go right 43 on the aileron. Scroll down here to pitch. This one we need to go down. So we're going to have to go left to about right there. That looks really, really good. I had to go 79 down on that one. I had to move this one more than any of the others. So now we've got really good movement. We got nice pitch. Set it back at mid stick. Look at it. Now what you want to do is look at it from behind and look and see if that swash plate is level. Now I've already set up all my links on the head, so I know my swash plate it's pretty level. It's good enough to go outside and test with, but we're not ready yet. What you need to do is, on my website, I'm trying to get every one of the Align T-Rex manuals for the 250, 450, 500, and 600. I've already got the 500 and 600. But what you can do with those manuals is get you a little digital caliper like this. This one on sale at Harbor Freight cost me 15 bucks. It is dead nuts accurate. I mean, this is beautiful. What you want to do, measure each individual link. They will give you an estimated length of every single link on this helicopter. And what you want to do is measure from the center of the ball to the center of the ball. I pop mine off. I take this, I pull it out. Whenever you turn it on, always set it to millimeters because that's what they have theirs at, and it'll tell you exactly, you know, is it 19.5 millimeters, is it 19 millimeters. You just set this, and then you go in here and you measure those links center to center in the hole. You don't want to go outside to outside, you don't want to go inside to inside because these links are different than theirs. But you go through, set all your swash links, set your mixing arm links, set your washout arm links, set your blade grip links, and you're ready to go. That will get you really, really, really close to where you need to be when you're ready to take this outside and actually try it. And for the next steps, which is doing a blade pitch. But now what we want to do is we want to work on the tail servo and the gyro.